All right, guys. I don't know who's here, but this is analysis of data. Second sheet. We did the first sheet, so this is week 34, sheet 2. Give me 2 seconds. All right, guys. I don't know who's here, but this is analysis of data. Second sheet. The first sheet, so this is week 34, sheet 2. Okay, so let's see if we can wrap this up, relatively fast, because I know I don't like to take up that much of your day, guys. So the analysis of data, I'm just gonna get right to it. Let me not use this right here. Let me get rid of that real fast. And this one right here. Okay, so analysis of data, right? This is important because you'll see this in the statistics that we do go over later on. So it says cheap and fast gas station is conducting a consumer satisfaction survey. Which method of collecting data would most likely lead to a biased sample? Interviewing every fifth customer to come into the station? Not really. Interviewing customers chosen at random by a computer at the checkout? Not really, because it's random. By definition, there can be no bias there. Interviewing customers who call an 800 number posted on the customer's receipt. Interviewing every customer who comes into the station on a day of the week chosen at random. So anything to do with random is 100% by definition not biased. But 3, there probably is a bias. Interviewing customers who call 800 number posted on the customer's receipt. That does look like a type of bias, a bias sample, because they're calling obviously with an opinion. All right, so they have their thoughts. So we're looking at this right here. 3. Let's go on to question 2. Which statement about statistical studies is true? A survey of all English classes in a high school would be a good sample to determine the number of hours students throughout the school spend studying. A survey of all ninth graders in a high school would be a good sample to determine the number of students' parking spaces needed at the high school. A survey of all students in a lunch period in the high school would be a good sample to determine the number of hours adults spend on social media website. Okay. A survey of all calculus students in a high school would be a good sample to determine the number of students throughout the school who don't like math. Right? So for 2, which statement about statistical studies is true? All right. In this case, we're going to say 1. A survey of all English classes in a high school would be a good sample to determine the number of hours students throughout the school spend studying. Right? Because everything else, you have a survey of ninth graders in high school would be a good sample to determine the number of students' parking spaces needed. Ninth graders don't drive cars, at least as far as I know. So 2 is out. Anything with 2 is going to be out, so obviously 2 is out. 3 says a survey of all students in one lunch period in a high school would be a good sample to determine the number of hours adults spend on social media. Oh, that's disconnected. I mean, how can in a lunch period? No. 4. A survey of all calculus students in a high school would be a good sample to determine the number of students throughout the school who don't like math. Oh, that makes no sense. Obviously, they're all taking calculus class. Chances are they do like math. So my answer is going to be 1. Question 3. A survey is being conducted to determine which type of television programs people watch. Which survey and location combination would likely contain the most bias? Again, we're talking about the most bias here. All right. So what that means is surveying 10 people who work in a sporting goods store. Surveying 25 people who enter a grocery store. Randomly surveying 50 people during the day in a mall. Randomly surveying 75 people during the day in a clothing store. Okay, so well, remember this is about the type of programs people like to watch, right? Anything randomly, obviously, that's not gonna show much bias. So 3 and 4 out. I mean, I guess for 2, surveying 25 people who went to a grocery store. Well, that would, maybe if they were interested in the cooking channel, but this is about I guess with the grocery store goes to be people just getting stuff to eat. So the most bias would be entering the sporting goods store. All right. Obviously, majority of them would probably like to watch sporting goods or sports-based shows. All right. So we're looking at 1, 4. A school newspaper will survey students about the quality of the school's lunch program. Which method will create the least biased results? Right? So 25 vegetarians are randomly surveyed. 25 students are randomly chosen from each grade level. Students who dislike the school's lunch, obviously that's going to be a lot of bias. Program are chosen to complete the survey. A booth is set up in the cafeteria for the students to voluntarily complete the survey. Okay, which one were least likely? Okay. Again, obviously not 1 because it's vegetarians. So we're looking at 2. Right? Random is most generally associated with least random. Right? Then we're on to question 5. The operator of the local mall wants to find out how many of the mall's employees make purchases in the food court when they are working. She hopes to use these data to increase the rent and attract new food vendors. In total, there are 1,023 employees who work at the mall. The best method to obtain a random sample of the employees would be to survey what? A random sample now. All 170 employees at each of the larger stores? No, that's not very random. 50% of the 90 employees at the food court? No. Every employee? You want a random sample. So every employee is not really random, it's literally everybody. or 4 every 30th employee entering each mole entrance for 1 week. So we're looking at 4 as being the answer. Again, this sheet can be found in JMAP. It's analysis of data 2. I did the first side of the paper that I assigned. I believe you guys have to do the other side. And if you have any questions, please leave in the comment section. And I will go over it, or leave on the classroom stream and ask me, and I will go over that. Okay, so this is from JMAP. We're looking at the analysis of data 2. Okay, so if there are no questions here, any questions here? Let me see. If there are no questions here, let me end this session, and I will see you next week. Again, if you do have any questions, leave them in the comment section, and I will get back to you on them. Okay? See you guys. Have a good weekend.